Hello and welcome to another edition of Stock Watch. So as we end the trading week, we're just hearing a few stories coming out of the technology industry and IBM in particular that have said that they've actually reached a breakthrough in their chip technology. So they've said that their computer processors are creating a 2 nanometer chip in its test lab. Now this might not seem very important news, but basically it's supposed to improve performance by up to 45%. So in other words, it's supposed to quadruple mobile phone battery life in the sense that they'll only need to be charged probably every 3 or 4 days rather than most of the time when people are on the phones now, they have to be charged every few hours. So it could be a very, very significant breakthrough in this development. And, you know, we have to think to ourselves, will there be a new chip war because of this? You know, because of the 2020 pandemic, which is still rumbling on. There was a big shortages of chips for a lot of tech industry firms, such as Apple, Microsoft, and obviously you know, for the latest smartphones and everything. You know, car manufacturers were forced to suspend production for some of their cars. In the previous stock watch reports, I've noticed that Tesla and Volkswagen were struggling to keep up with the components because of chip shortages. Smartphone makers, like I just said, Apple have warned that releases could be affected. So the next generation of iPhone, for example, could be affected because of this. And high-end computer components such as graphic cards are difficult to find and are selling at higher prices. So, you know, you have some gaming consoles as well, like the Microsoft Xbox One, which said that they might see less sales because of this chip shortage. So we'll just have to wait and see how much that takes effect and if it's going to really start boosting a lot of these technology stocks that we see that we report on a daily basis. And whilst I'm on the technology subject, I've been looking at Intel and just seeing why their stock has fallen by over 10% in April alone. So, you know, when they released their first quarter earnings on the April 22nd, things were very good. Things were looking good because they actually exceeded analyst expectations. But buried within the report, were some concerning numbers. And, you know, the all-important data center revenue was down by 20%. And the data center operating income was down by 64%. So these are just figures that we have to keep an eye on because, you know, even though earnings estimates are quite good, it doesn't mean that the share price is always going to start ticking higher. So this is at a time when, you know, working from home is the new norm, with a lot of more companies actually preferring their staff to stay at home 2 or 3 days a week. So, you know, PC sales and software should be booming at the moment. So we have to see why that is. So for IBM, first of all, just want to show you, since the tech sell-off that we had in January, we've seen a momentous progression in prices. But if I just bring it down the 4-hour chart, I'm just seeing a slight bearish divergence on the RSI. It's very, very minimal, but it could mean that we're in for just a short pullback at the moment after, you know, the stock in yesterday, well, this week has actually risen by nearly $5. So we just have to wait and see what's going to happen in that respect. If it's going to start pulling back, you know, the first position I will be checking is these base and conversion lines of the Ichimoku indicator, just to see if we're going to come back to roughly the lower end of the $140 range. And if we do, then obviously the top border of the Ichimoku cloud is something that I'll be looking at, you know, this kind of area here, the 140, and probably dropping down into the lower to mid 130 region. So just a few things when there is a bit of a tech sell-off, when indices start losing their momentum as well, we do see a lot of the big players lose out as well. So just a few things to look out for there for IBM. Intel as well, you know, I just want to start on the daily chart first of all. We're just seeing now, as you can see here, the big depreciation in stock prices in April has led to us plummeting through the Ichimoku cloud, and now we're on the wrong end. So I'm expecting a bit more further downside, which we could probably see to the lower end of $50, probably maybe even surpassing. Obviously, the first level I'll be looking at here is roughly about the $55 range, which is the lower border. And then we'll see if we don't find a little bounce on here, then I'll expect prices to keep plummeting even further. So I'll be putting probably some sell positions in this area, probably a sell stop, and we'll see if prices are going to start pushing lower. And just a quick look on the intraday as well, just waiting for the markets to open now, but again the same kind of scenario, just waiting to see if prices will start shifting lower. Seeing a little bit of an upturn on the RSI, but I don't think this is going to save any more price depreciation. Obviously we're seeing a little bit of support here roughly about the $56 range. But we'll just wait and see if prices do start falling lower. So that's all from the Stock Watch today. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have any comments or queries, as usual, please add them to the post, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Have a great trading day ahead, and bye for now.